We are doing an overdub of this one. I actually spent a lot of time with this particular unit, the Master TV game, because I wasn't quite sure what it was. The reason is because when you get it, it doesn't come with any controllers. It looks like you're seeing it on the screen here. And I've actually recorded this video multiple times because at first I thought this was some sort of cartridge-based standalone system. Kinda is, but I'll explain. But what it turns out is that it's a Famicom clone. Which, not an NES clone, Famicom. It takes Famicom cartridges, and it works. It only has, though, the two ports on the front. The 15 pin, which is a standard Famicom port that you'll find on the front of a Famicom, as usually the controls themselves are wired to the inside, and I think they're also 15 port. And then it also has a 9 port pin on it, which is more reminiscent of a Genesis or a Atari 2600 type of thing. So you can see the ports there. So I was a little bit confused at first because I thought, well, what is this? Like a Genesis, Mega Drive, and then it also has this 15-pin port. Like, what's that all about? But then I was suspicious about the cartridge size. So then I got a Famicom cartridge, put it in, turned it on, and it worked. Of course, I don't have a Famicom controller that I could plug into it. I did try plugging in a NES controller, or a Genesis controller, but that didn't work. Now, what's unusual, because this would just be a clone of an NES, Famicom, not that interesting, if that's what it is. I don't know exactly if it's running on emulation or if it's actually some sort of, they took a board out of a Famicom and put it in here. But you could buy these games for it. And these games they're either hacked games or they're standalone games. I think they're standalone games. Manufacturer is not listed anywhere on this. It was sold by a puzzle company, probably on some sort of resale type of thing, and like clearance type of thing. And I read somewhere that it was made by TimeTop. There you can see one of the cartridges that looks, now it's for an American audience, or European, let's say, not for Japanese. The games are in English, and was sold here in English box and everything, as you can also see. But yeah, so and then you get this gun, this light gun, it's 15 pin. Now a light gun itself on the Famicom and the NES isn't unusual. I mean, that style gun is, but that's not a big deal. And so I was thinking, well, maybe this is like a some sort of they took some sort of gun games like Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, or something off of the NES Famicom. There's a regular cartridge for a Famicom I'm putting in there right now. So maybe they took those games, they just re-skinned them and put them on here. But then I read somewhere that this was actually manufactured by TimeTop. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, but I do know that TimeTop was a Hong Kong-based company, I believe, and they wrote their own games for the different hardware that they sold. Not always. I know they sold some Wii clones, but for all I know, they may have released games for the Wii that they made. I don't know. I don't have one of those clones. But this one is unusual, and it's not just because of the gun, but the fact that it has these other games that I'll show you here shortly. Now, here's some screenshots of what the box is showing. And the reason I can't show you this gun game, I'll show you a little bit of it in the video, but the reason I can't show it, it's typical of these things where you have to have a CRT set up, and it's hard to get through the encoder and everything in order to make this work right. But yeah, there's nothing on the box that says who this is manufactured by or anything of that sort. I mean, some of those characters look familiar, NTSC and PAL, but anyway, you would think, okay, well, this is just probably some sort of like reskinned game, or maybe it's not. Anyway, if it was just that, and it was just a gun game, it would be like a gun game for the Famicom that came out late, right? Now, that being said, I haven't tested this on a Famicom. I do own one. But then you have these things. And this is what I found unusual. You have this TV baseball, and you have soccer, right? And if you look there on the little unit itself, right there with the ping pong, you'll see a little blue dongle hanging off of the 15 port. And that little thing there that I'm pointing at is for motion control. And I don't know if you all remember the motion control games that came out on the Famicom to compete with the Wii. No, they didn't have them back then. I'm just talking shit. They didn't have them. So these came out later for this particular system, and that's unusual to me. It's like, hey, we're gonna make, NES in the box Famicom system, right? We're gonna write our own motion control games for it, and we're going to sell it as a standalone system. It's kind of a good idea if you think about it. It's kind of like, hey, we need to develop our own game system. Why bother? Let's just use the Famicom, write new games for it, and we'll add on a motion control dongle. And I think that's what they did here. And so it's kind of a weird thing in my collection because these games are sort of unique to it, but I'm pretty sure you could probably play these games on a standalone Famicom. The only reason I think maybe you couldn't is if the pin assignments are different or something, the voltage isn't right, who knows. But my guess is they're probably the same. And, but, since these games were made for it and these games are unique, then makes the system kind of unique. I mean, I don't generally collect variants. So, I don't want 15 Game Boys. I don't want 20 NES systems. They'll make them forever, and nobody's going to want them in terms of a collector's piece. I mean, there's guys out there that obviously collect all the Game Boys, and there's guys out there that collect all the Nintendos. But you know what I mean. It's kind of like the draw is the games, not the hardware. As long as you have the hardware that can play the games, then that's what most people would be after, I would imagine. You need something to, facilitate playing the games on something, and hopefully do it in the most accurate way possible to how it was originally designed, meaning first-party system or licensed system, that sort of thing. Clone systems I will buy and I'll add them in my collection occasionally. We've seen them, and here is one, but I don't generally collect variants. Anyway, enough about that. Master TV game, though, because it has these specific branded games designed for it, I don't really count this necessarily as a variant. I mean, it kind of is, but it's different enough to me. And it's also kind of, unique. You don't see a lot of people talking about it or out there or anything. Now, you can find this online on eBay. There's still some back stock that somebody's selling out there. It's not very expensive. If you wanted a Famicom clone, you can play Famicom games on it. I guess. I don't know about the controls and everything that you would need. Maybe just connect something to the 15-pin controller. But again, I haven't tried it. And you can also get all of the games that were designed for it. So let me go ahead and I'll switch the audio back over to where I'm testing the games barely. And you can kind of see the graphics and everything, but generally it's a Famicom game. But you might be able to look at this and see if you recognize any of the particular games as maybe being reskinned or rebranded or something. I couldn't, but I don't have a wealth of knowledge of every title that ever came out for these particular systems. So maybe somebody with a keener eye could find the reskin or their original titles, and that would make them even more interesting. There we go. Okay, Master TV game. We have City Patrolman. Just unbranded. No, there's virtually no company involved with this system. This is the strangest thing. Doesn't seem to be any other buttons on this gun, just a trigger. It does vibrate when you pull the trigger, though. I can't shoot these guys because I don't have the screen, but you get an idea of the graphics. I know that song. What is that song? That's like the theme to Airwolf. This is like, what, Airwolf? They just stole the Airwolf theme to make this game. Apparently I can't die. Apparently I can just sit here and take hits all day. Oh, there we go. Finally got killed. Okay, so what does that tell us? Does that tell us that this is we got to try something else, right? We can't just try this. Now, if I just turn it on without a cartridge in it, I just get a purple screen. There's no branding. And it's unusual. It's just really unusual. The base system has a price sticker on it. It costs $60. I mean, that's not what I paid for it. Okay, I'm going to take out the ping pong here, and I wasn't going to take it out, but just trying to see if there's anything else on here, but I don't see it. It's another motion control game. Paddles need to have batteries inserted into them. Let's just see what the menu looks like. Super ping pong game, table tennis. I mean, nobody released something like this on Master System or NES. This is definitely trying to see if the gun does anything. It does not. All right, let's remove the gun. Plug in the 15-pin. Now, what's weird is that it has this 9-pin controller port on it, but I don't think there's any games that use this 9-pin controller port. It makes me wonder, though, if there was a similar size cartridge, like maybe a Famicom cartridge. I don't have a Famicom cartridge. Or do I? Maybe I do. Probably not around here, though. I don't know. I don't think so. I've tried sizing this. Like NES, it's not the same. And I think the Famicom and the NES have the same size cartridge. I think maybe the closest thing to this would be the Master System. These games don't look like Master System games. SG-1000, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an SG-1000 cartridge. I don't think I do. Maybe I have that soccer game. Kind of rings a bell. Anyway, it works. It's a keeper. It's unusual, that's for sure. It's part of the collection now. It's been immortalized in Kevin's great game console collection. Yep, not a lot of information about it. It's very obscure. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.